Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Discover a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
What's up, y'all? It's Thursday, and we're here with a brand new episode of Don't Blame Me. You're shocked, maybe, because you're like, don't we usually release Don't Blame Me on Mondays? Not anymore. Not anymore. Now we're doing Thursdays. If you want to know why, go back and listen to Fisting Friday. But am I wrong? That was released on Monday. Or see you next Tuesday.
And if you're confused, don't worry. It's a learning curve. I'm not confused at all. Like, I'm super on top of it. I don't have it like written down just right here that I'll keep in front of me for the next however long I need to so I can remember. But we explained it and why we switched that up on both Fisting Friday as well as See You Next Tuesday. So you can listen to either of those if you want a bit more of the backstory. But yeah, we're going to give you some life-changing, wonderful, amazing advice. And we are Meghan and Melisa, and that's what we do. So they pay us the medium bucks for. Petite bucks.
Small.
Yeah, I was trying to make it sound cool. The petite bucks. Speaking of bucks, you got us extra spare? Join our Patreon. You can watch the video version. You can join us for live streams. Like we always say, if you've like moved recently, you're in a new city, you're in any transition period of your life, and you want to make some new friends, join. We always have people who are like, I just moved, or I just got a new job, and like I wanted to join and make new friends. And the last person who joined, of course, we interrogate. We go, where are you from? What do you do? And because there's so many people in our group, we immediately were like, hey, I think you're near this person, and they're already planning to meet up. So it's a great place.
Introduce them to a friend.
Yep, who lives in said city as well. It's like a great way to like think of it as being pre-vetted, you know, because like you both have this in common. You have this podcast, and like we can be cilantro-like, we can be controversial, like, you know, you've kind of weeded out. Someone's still listening at this point. I don't think you're gonna accidentally go onto their Instagram and see photos of them holding like a dead deer that they shot. Like,
right, 4 years ago, maybe.
And that's why our Facebook group was closed down for a while.
Mm-hmm. We had to clean house.
Yeah. And, you know, we did. And we're here as the results of that. So join. It's a great time. And if you want to call in for an upcoming episode, because it is an advice podcast where you call or you write, you can leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. And international listeners, you can send us an audio message at meganpodcast@gmail.com, record it and email it there. And you can also do written versions on that same email address, or you can send us a DM on Instagram. So for the audio versions, you have to keep both variations of audio format under 3 minutes. And we ask that you write it down, practice a few times, time it, and then just read it aloud. You don't have to stress about like remembering it off the top of your head or anything like that. And then for the written versions, just keep it under 300 words. And for all of the variations and various ways you can contact us, you have to be 18 or over, have your parents' permission. We do ask that you let us know your age. You can let us know your pronouns if you would like, but include the most relevant information. Think of it like an essay. Have your thesis statement. Give us like 3 examples of whatever, or like 3 big points of the story, or however that gets to. Then what you're looking for in advice as your conclusion, essentially. And we will do our very best, because despite how funny and hot and cool and gorgeous we are, we also want to give you good advice. Like, we want to help out your lives. We don't want to set fire to the rain or burn it all down, unless our advice to you is burn it all down. In the words of Candace, burn it. Melissa's still never seen it. But if you like other shows about other fantastical creatures, watch the pilot of Teen Wolf and let me know if you recognize anybody. Let me know.
I might also have a few things brewing.
Oh, yeah. Because in this house, werewolves.
Mm-hmm.
In this house, there are werewolves.
Mm-hmm.
You might not know, but there are some you might know. But there are some, the werewolves are here and also yet to arrive. Mary, keep a lookout.
All right. First up, we've got an update. Hi, Eminem. I was the caller from the May 6th episode where my boyfriend was jealous of a guy of friends, and I have an update. Shortly after making the call, I went on a weekend trip out of state. Our relationship was pretty rocky at this point, and we got in a huge fight before I left. We didn't speak to each other the whole time I was gone. When I got back, I had many messages from friends and acquaintances asking why we broke up. I was extremely confused and ended up being told that for the whole weekend I was gone, he decided to tell many people we broke up and he slept with someone.
Yep.
I confronted him that night and he admitted to it, saying he thought we broke up over our fight, but still wanted to be together. For multiple days after, he tried to reconcile and I wasn't interested at all and officially broke off the relationship. After we broke up mid-June, he would text me rude things about how I was a horrible girlfriend, etc. And I always ignored it or asked him to keep his rude comments to himself. I finally cut all contact when last weekend, end of June, I was gone on a friend's trip and he sent me more messages accusing me of being a whore and all this other fun terminology, and I blocked him on all social media. Thank you guys for the advice, as well as the other caller and writer that gave me advice as well. I appreciate it.
This feels very apt to the phrase, every accusation is a confession.
Mm-hmm.
Because when he's like, no, you can't be friends with these guys. You're definitely going to sleep with these guys, blah, blah, blah. Do you know why? Because he's sleeping with his friends. Wow. I'm so sorry. What a painful way to figure this out. I know like men by default are delusional. This one seems just like really working overtime in the delusion. That you're going to sleep with someone else, you didn't actually break up, and then be like, well, I'm ready to work on it. Whoa, right. What an assumption.
Right. I saw, which I feel like if you would have not blocked him, it would have led to this. Actually, it still might, because he can send you a message from another number. But this girl on TikTok got a text from her ex saying, hey, my wife is pregnant. Your window was closing. The window should have closed when we broke up, when you got married.
So sorry, my GPS has lost the contact information. I don't even know who this business is. And by the way, it's boarded up and has been sold.
Yeah.
And the deed is gone.
The girl that posted it was like, she responded and said, what, are y'all going to name the baby after me?
That's iconic.
Iconic.
That's really fucking good.
Iconic.
Speaking of iconic lines, did you see that fight in these two women fighting in Crumble Cookies? And one of them's like holding her baby. And then like the woman, she did a follow-up video, basically be like the woman and her husband just like kept getting in her kid's personal space. Like they were like essentially touching him, like leaning over to look at things. And she was like, hey, back the fuck up. Like back up.
Yeah.
And they like got an attitude with her. And then finally she was like, go ahead, order before me. You seem hungry. Oh. And I was like, whoo.
Incredible.
It was so quick with it. And I was like, poetic. Wordsmith, Shakespeare. Reminds me of that. Oh, well, I'm sorry that it ended this way, but I hope that you trust your gut now, you know? because you wrote into us. It's not just like, oh, we told you this. You had feelings, and that's why you wrote in. So it's a good reassurance to trust your instincts. Okay, next write in. Hey ladies, I'm in need of some relationship advice. I'm 26 and use she, her pronouns. I've been single for the last 5 years while I worked on myself. When I was 21 and got out of a toxic relationship, I made a 5-year plan for myself. Some things included finish college, start therapy, travel, etc. And the last thing was to stay single until I was 26. This gave me time to check off things from my list, heal from that relationship, and build myself up in my career. I turned 26 back in June and can proudly say I checked off every box in my 5-year plan that was relevant. As time went on, I realized there were some things I didn't actually want to do. I just wanted to make my list longer in that moment. Aside from hookups here and there, I haven't been in a serious relationship. Now I'm ready to conquer the dating world. My friends have a blind dating list a mile long. I'm going to give that a go because I really don't want to go on apps. I prefer getting to know people in person. I'm very organized and a planner-driven person, so I have boxes I'm going to need these guys to check off. You love checking off a box. I feel like that sounds so stiff and unappealing, but I really want a quality relationship with someone who's compatible. My first date is in 2 weeks. I'm wondering how to ask these questions without sounding robotic or a turnoff. A few to include. What are your goals? How'd you get started in your career? Are you a felon? LOL, but really? I'm going to tell you that right now. You can just Google that one. I have more questions I want to ask as the relationship takes shape, but I really think those are a few good ones to start. Please help with advice on how I can ask these questions, but still come off appealing. I look forward to your advice if my submission is chosen. This does remind me of Love Island because Serena asked Cordell, what are your long-term goals? And he goes, my what? And she goes, your long-term goals. He goes, what does that mean? She goes, your goals just like for the long term. And he goes, I'd really like a Cheetos sponsorship. And she was like,
how old is he?
He's like 23 or whatever like that. But like, this is also just his personality. And Cheetos has been commenting on their stuff and he's geeking. And he's like, I've got flavor ideas for you. And I was like, oh, this is a fully fledged idea. Like, it sounded weird when he said it, but he's like, no, I've been brainstorming ideas for years.
If he's been brainstorming,
exactly,
that is the long-term goal.
That
makes sense then. Okay.
But it didn't until afterwards. And we were all like, I was like, this man is funny. Does he know?
Yeah, he had a business plan.
He was a consultant before he was even getting paid.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, maybe this is wrong or whatever, but like, I think that like the questions you have, first of all, I'm going to eliminate, are you a felon? Because you can A, Google that, but also B, I don't know that people will be honest with you.
But also I'm like, these are people that your friends are setting you up with. So
yeah,
shouldn't they know like basic information about them? Would they be setting you up with somebody that they didn't think, unless they hate you, that they didn't think that you were already like be compatible with?
Yeah. And like, if someone's a felon, like find out, ask who they voted for in the last election. And they said, oh, I can't vote. And you go, why? Are you Canadian? They go, no, I'm a felon.
Also,
there you go.
What was the offense?
Yeah, that's a big fucking deal for me.
Me too. Like marijuana possession?
Don't give a shit.
Don't care.
To be fair, pretty much any drugs.
Yeah. Beat the shit out of somebody that deserved it.
Congratulations.
Right.
Love that for
Thank you.
Thank you.
A real vigilante.
A people person, some might say.
Mm-hmm.
A community thinker. A community organizer.
An activist.
An active activist.
Mm-hmm.
An activist with running shoes. Storm the Capitol? Pass. Anything financial? Depends on what it is.
Yeah. Was it like a Martha Stewart type situation?
Yeah. Granted, if you come from that, if it's like a long time generational wealth kind of thing, that to me, I go, we're probably not compatible anyway. But if it was like, I stole money from the victims of the Boeing plane crash, no. Not super into that one. So the moral of the story, don't rule out felons until you know what felony they've committed.
Right.
But yeah, I would cut that one off because again, it's not going to get you any closer to the truth. People will be like, that's odd. Why would you think I'm a felon? And they're not. Or they'd be like, of course I'm not a felon. And they actually are. So I would cut that one out immediately. The other one you said, what are your goals? How'd you get started in your career?
Those are two basic questions that people should be expecting on a date.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say something like, how do you want children or, whatever, like, or you want to get married or whatever. So I think like the right person is going to take questions like that are not invasive nor rude the right way. And people who are like, whoa, it's kind of a lot of information you're asking. That to me is like, don't answer the questions and that's enough. That's all I needed to hear. Then nothing further. So I wouldn't like worry about necessarily being robotic, only in the sense of, are those the questions you actually want to ask, or that what you think you want to ask? Because I think robotic, it comes from a place where it doesn't seem earnest and it seems just kind of like stiff and like, oh, I'm supposed to ask this. But if you're asking something you're genuinely interested in and you're genuinely interested in the answer, I don't think you will be robotic.
Yeah. You know, you've been out of the game for a minute, but you've still been hooking up for people. So that does mean you have some game. But also, like, don't treat this as an interview. Don't come with your notepad and like, or even like the boxes in your head. Just come ready to have open conversation, and these things should come out normally.
Yeah. This is not one of those things that you can check a box off the same way, because that's not how like chemistry, attraction, like love or interest even works. So I was someone who I was like, I want to date a guy. So funny. Like now that I think of that, like I'm looking for a guy. I was like, I want to date a guy in finance who's like 6'3" minimum. Every time I went on a date with a guy who was not like that, I go, well, that's why I didn't work out, because like that's not my guy. Went on a date with a guy who was in finance, was 6'4", and I just walked into that and I was like, no, this is not what I want at all. So it's really easy to kind of like make it like a tangible list of like things that you want in theory. And I think as long as you don't let yourself close off from someone because they're not who you pictured, because who you pictured or what you pictured, you might not actually like. And then you can then feel kind of stuck. So
putting yourself in a corner that you don't necessarily need to be in.
Yeah. Give people like a chance to surprise you, because so many things change of what we like, what we're attracted to. Like even like the music we like can change from year to year, or the friends that we have can be very different. And if it's someone you want to spend the rest of your life with, they will change in the course of that relationship, and so will you. So I think making me like, I want someone who, or I don't know if it's a guy, but I want someone who has a job. I want someone who, I don't know where you live, but in LA for me, I'm like someone who drives, has their own means of transportation. And you can come up with other things like the stuff that kind of comes across easy, but also then be like, I want someone who makes me laugh, not just things that they've like quote unquote accomplished or whatever. Because you then might find that those guys are kind of, or those people are kind of robotic. I mean, guys in the California where we call everybody guys sense, those people are kind of robotic there, because just checking off all your boxes won't mean that there's like chemistry or you're attracted to them. And then ask your friends, like Melissa said, like they should be, if they're setting you up, you can also do some digging on their socials beforehand so you don't burn out from dating. Because
but not too much where you know things like their sister's name.
Yep.
That should be something that comes organically during conversation.
Yeah. It's like a sweet spot though, because I think if you don't look up anything, then that's how you might end up on a date with a felon. But also you can get burnt out from bad dates. And then you're like, I need another break from dating. So I think it's like doing just the right amount of like research. Like, within 3 taps, am I still attracted to you? Within 3 taps, am I still like, this seems like a guy either that I'm into or a guy who could surprise me. So keep it in that sweet spot.
And do it from a Finsta account so you don't actually accidentally like something.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I think you're doing great and you're happy with yourself and stuff. So just remember that the goal of being in a relationship is that they're adding to your life. It's not another box that needs to get checked off. It's like you could be just as happy not with somebody. It should only be additional. So,
all right, we're going to take a break.
As a podcast network, our first priority has always been audio and the stories we're able to share with you. But at Realm, we also sell some pretty cool merch, and organizing that was made both possible and easy with Shopify. When you think about successful businesses like Aloe or Allbirds or Skims, an often overlooked secret is the business behind the business that makes selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. That's because nobody does selling better than Shopify. It's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret that's definitely worth talking about is that Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%. That's more happy customers and way more sales going. If you're hoping to grow your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a co-founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. During her journey, Isla meets new friends, including King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, and learns valuable life lessons with every quest, sword fight, and dragon ride. Positive and uplifting stories remind us all about the importance of kindness, friendship, honesty, and positivity. Join me and an all-star cast of actors including Liam Neeson, Emily Blunt, Kristen Bell, Chris Hemsworth, among many others, in welcoming the Search for the Silver Lining podcast to the Go Kid Go network by listening today. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all, I'm JJ.
Hey, guys, it's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests who share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
And we're back. It's time for another.
Hey, Eminem, I am writing in for the first time. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm 22. I previously had an ex who listened to your show and kept listening sporadically even after the breakup. Oh, thanks.
I'm obsessed with that.
In conclusion, I liked your podcast more than her.
Ooh, shade.
And she's probably still listening. If that's me adding.
That's
if y'all.
crazy.
So, girly, if you realize who this is.
So sorry.
So we've been broken up over a year, and I'm now in a new relationship, and I feel like I'm in love for the first time. Me and my girlfriend are so much alike in so many ways. The only issue is she is absolutely awful at communication. I am always the one to text, call, or make plans first. It is honestly exhausting. I know she loves me as well, but I feel like she's not even attempting to give her all. I am not sure if this is intentional or not. I've tried talking to her about this, and she just laughs it off and says life gets in the way and she forgets to text and call. My other relationships, even tracking back to junior high, have never been like this. Could I be getting played? I wanted to get advice from a woman's point of view. I have sisters, but I know they would judge her for this, so I can't bring this up to them. I don't want our relationship to end, but I am starting to feel foolish at this point. Please let me know what you think.
I wish we had some more details. How long have you been dating, and like what level of communication? Like, what is it, like not making plans, or is it like not small talk conversing via text and phone?
Like when you're in person, is she like really like, does she seem tapped in and she's there, like there with you, or is she distracted by other things? Like, are the in-person conversations strong? Are y'all, is it just when y'all are apart?
Because I'm someone who, like, I'm not good at communicating. Like, there are only two people who I communicate with well, Melissa and Mott's, and even both of them will tell you she's not that fucking good.
No.
And that's the best I am ever. But the thing that I would say as someone with ADHD, who this is like a natural thing, because you're wondering, is this just like how she is, or is this intentional that she's not interested? How does she act with, what is she like on her phone, texting with when you are with her? Because if she's like communicating with other people, texting with a bunch of people while you're together, me, no. I can be scrolling on my phone, I can be on whatever, but I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to do this thing. Someone remind me to do this. I'm not like not communicating with this person. And then when we're together, I'm communicating with everyone else but them. That's like a big indicator of how similar is this. But you try to talk about it and she just laughs it off and says life gets in the way and she forgets to text/call. That to me is not how I would handle it. That seems like,
yeah, it would be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Let me try to do better.
Yeah. Or like, oh shit, my bad. Like, let me go find that. Like, let me look. Like, it's just not a way that you handle it when, because like being bad at communicating is not, I would not say it's like a moral failure if like you've got ADHD and you have like a hard time keeping up with things. That's not bad at all, but it's definitely not a trait that I love about myself or like I'm very proud of. Like there's a lot of shame intertwined with being like, fuck, I let a lot of things slip through the cracks and like you feel bad about it. So I would never like laugh it off, you know? So to me, I think like, even if it feels like something that is not a big deal to her, I think in any relationship, when something else is a big deal to someone, then that becomes the thing we address. Not like, well, I don't think it's a big deal, so therefore it's fine. And it's like, well, no, you think it's a big deal. So like, let's unravel it. Like, let's work on that. Because if it isn't intentional and it's something that I don't necessarily know if it's malicious, but I think the like pessimistic part of me thinks that it might just be a lack of trying. And like you said, like she doesn't even have to give it her all, but like it doesn't seem like a big priority. And I think if you have like reasonable expectations, then I think that you're very much allowed, even if you know that she has strong feelings for you, you're very much allowed to like want to be in a relationship that has a much better communication style. And like, regardless of how you feel about her at the end of the day, I think if this didn't bother you and it was like, oh, it's whatever, it's fine, I can handle it, you wouldn't be writing in.
Yeah. So I would sit down and have a serious conversation with her and tell her like how much it actually bothers you and ask her like, is there anything that you can do to help to make it better? And then if she's not receptive to that, then it's like you either got to live with it or she's not the person for you.
Yeah. And I would really love to know what communication are you looking for? Like, what is it? Because like, if again, she's not if you're the only one making plans and like you're texting her and like you don't live near each other, so you only see each other like once a week and you're like trying to call to check in and she's like not responding and you like only talk to her once a week and you're like in a relationship and she like bails on plans, that to me is like, yeah, drop that.
That's somebody else.
Exactly. She's busy with someone else's plans. But if it's like, I want someone I can call in the morning and then call on a lunch break and like text in between then and then like call on the way home from work and then FaceTime while we're eating dinner and then text until we go to bed, I would be like, that's too much. That's a lot of communication. And I think that seeking that level amount from anyone, I think anyone who's going to be able to give you that, I don't think it's healthy from either side. That's just a little too much. So really depends on that too. But yeah, let us know. I would love to get more details and hopefully after you have that conversation, things end up the way that they should.
All right, next one.
Hi, Queens. Intentional typo, don't worry. I clocked that. And I know that's not how it's spelled. I am 19 and go by she, her pronouns. I am writing in about my very best friend in the whole world. The thing is, since living on her own, I have found out that she is super messy. Oh, we are back with the messy roommates. Like, I'm thinking we need to call hoarders at this point. We aren't roommates or anything. Okay. But I feel the need to step in and say something. All the rest of our friends, myself included, live in dorms, so her apartment is like the hangout spot. What's so weird is she has no problem inviting us over when her apartment is a wreck. It doesn't stink or anything, but there's trash everywhere. During spring break, she went on a trip with her family and asked if I could dog sit for her. I didn't mind since I live in our hometown/college town and I had no plans. I just couldn't be in the filth, and I ended up cleaning her whole apartment, hoping she'd get the hint. She came home and was like, I knew your neat freak ways wouldn't last long. Thanks for straightening up. I know she didn't mean it as a jab or like she left it dirty for me to clean. She's just that oblivious to how she's living. Our friend group had an intervention between ourselves, and they all think I should talk to her about it, as I'm the closest to her by far. I feel like it isn't my place. I mean, I don't pay her bills. I would be coming from a loving place, but I'm afraid she wouldn't see it as that way and creating turmoil. What would you do? I would stop hanging out of her place if it's totally filthy, because I don't think you care that much if you are actually hanging out there.
I think that if it's where y'all pregame at, you got to find another pregame spot, because that's how she likes to live. Some people like to be amongst their things. If it doesn't smell, that means she's doing some level of cleaning.
Yeah.
It's just that she just has a lot of stuff. So if that you're really bothered by this, then you got to just like go somewhere else. But otherwise, if it's not truly a cause for concern, then you shouldn't be concerned about it.
Yeah. I think that, if I went to like a friend's place and it was like so messy, there's like two different kinds of messy. It would be like, hey, like, let me help pick up. And then it'd be like a couple days later, be like, hey, how are you doing? Because I'd be like, this looks like my depression room. Like, I can relate to that. Or it's not, there's no emotional aspect of it. And I'd be like, bitch, this is fucking what the, okay, pig, let's figure this out. Like, what the fuck are you doing here? And I would rib on them like that. But without doing either of those things, I think like the most important thing as like an adult and as we grow older, and like it even happens with kids in parenting of this, is like natural consequences. And the natural consequences, if you have like an incredibly messy home, is that you lose things spoil and things go bad and people don't want to hang out at your house. Yep. Those things aren't happening. So therefore, like, she can keep doing this and then you guys are still going to hang out there. So
if she has a dog and it doesn't stink, then that's a big feat. Like, she's cleaning. She's cleaning. Are the toilets okay enough for you to sit down and piss? Are the cups clean enough for you to drink out of?
Are there trash bags? Are there trash cans? I honestly commend her for like removing any like stigma from being like the messy friend and like still having people over. Like, that is not most people. As a certified messy friend, like, I cannot have people come over at any given time without knowing. But I think like also hosting everything takes a lot of time and effort and energy. So I think that like kind of the same way, like you have a friend who has the car and you contribute to gas money, picking up stuff I think is helpful, especially like what is the mess? Like, is sometimes the mess like leftover from when you all hang out? And like, I am guilty of like with people like come over, I'm like, oh, well, don't worry, I'll take care of it. And then did she not take care of it? And so, yeah, I just think that if you're concerned, then I think it's not a conversation about it being messy. I think it's like, hey, this has let me into like, there might be something else going on. And if not, it seems like you guys still hang out there, even if it's messy. So if I was her, that would probably be my response. I'm being like, it's not too messy if you guys still come here all the time. But I also would not bring up hoarding, because that's a very serious thing. And most of the time, people who are hoarders have either gone through super traumatic incident paired with like mental health issues that have like crossed over to being like, that's like a coping mechanism of it. Or they grew up in a hoarder home and they're trying to like, I promise you, are already working on releasing some of those tendencies. So I would, in general, anyone, I would just like never throw that word around, because there's a heavy weight behind that. But yeah, I really want to know how messy it is. But I will also say, her saying, thanks for straightening up, I knew as if clean freak you couldn't last long. To me, that does sound like she wanted you to clean. Doesn't it?
She was like, oh,
I'm going to ask.
She's coming over.
Yeah.
She's going to watch the dog.
Maybe she'll do a little Swiffering.
All right. We're going to take a break. When we get back, we'll get to the last one.
Do you love Disney? Then you are going to love our hit podcast, Disney Countdown. I'm Megan, the Magical Millennial.
And I'm the Dapper Danielle.
On every episode of our fun and family-friendly show, we count down our top 10 lists of all things Disney. There is nothing we don't cover.
We are famous for rabbit holes, Disney-themed games, and fun facts you didn't know you needed, but you definitely need in your life. So if you're looking for a healthy dose of Disney magic, check out Disney Countdown wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey everyone, join me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa DeMonts, for Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong?
Each week, we deliver 4 fun-filled shows.
In Don't Blame Me, we tackle our listeners' dilemmas with hilariously honest advice.
Then we have But Am I Wrong, which is for the listeners that didn't take our advice. Plus, we share our hot takes on current events.
Then tune in to See You Next Tuesday for our listener poll results from But Am I Wrong?
And finally, wrap up your week with Fisting Friday, where we catch up and talk all things pop culture.
Listen to Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Merry Christmas, everybody! My name is Eric Peterson. I'm here with my good buddy,
Danny Jordan.
And we are the hosts of Christmas Countdown Show.
We're so thrilled to be bringing the merriment to you all this holiday season. On Christmas Countdown, we love to count down our top 10 favorite things related to the holiday season. That could be food, movies, music, everything that we all love about this massively merry good time. So wherever you get your podcasts, make sure you click that subscribe button. Eric, are you ready?
I am ready, and we hope that you are too. Merry Christmas, everybody! Let's go!
And we are back. Time for the last.
Hey, Megan and Melissa. I am writing in today because I want to ask my husband if he'd go into inviting someone else in our bedroom. I am 32 and go by she, her pronouns. We got married really young at 18. I do not regret a second of our marriage. Even at a young age, I knew he was my person. We started dating at 14 and grew up together. Fast forward, we are 12 years into our marriage with 4 kids. I love our life. Our sex life is great. No complaints at all. I just want to try something new. We're very kinky and there's not much we haven't explored, besides inviting someone into our bedroom. Funny enough, I got the idea from our favorite show, Modern Family. Oh my God. There's an episode where Phil and Claire want a couple to move in next door, but it more so sounds like they're inviting them into their bedroom, LOL. So once this seed was planted, I've been trying to work up the nerve to ask him what he thinks. I've already decided I want it to be another woman and not a couple. I also don't want any penetration between her and my husband. Not only would I be jealous, but we are clearly quite fertile over here. How do we even go about finding someone who's down for this? This is all very new to me and I am not even fully decided on it. I just think it would be fun. I am not open to a poly relationship. No shade to anyone who is. I just want to do something adventurous that we share together. I am way too embarrassed to ask my friends about this, and I know y'all give it to me straight. Thanks for taking my submission. First, you need to have the conversation with him to even see if he's interested in it.
I mean, part of me thinks you need to keep having the conversation with yourself to see if you are still interested in it.
But if they talk, maybe it will sway her one way or another.
Yeah, the issue is you might be de-influenced and he might be influenced.
Yeah. So conversations need to be had between yourself and then you and him. You have a lot of parameters up about what's happening. It seems like you want to be doing more of the stuff with the girl, maybe, or watching them kiss. I don't know. But make sure that he's comfortable with those stipulations too. And also the person that you may be inviting is cool with those things too. Because if I'm coming, I still need to come. And there's got to be some type of something going on. Like, you're okay with like one of y'all going down on her or something. So think about all those other things. How to go about it. I've seen people on dating apps. It'll be for the husband. It'll be because I'm looking for men. So it'll be the husband's account, but like the wife is also on it. I'm not specifically looking for that.
Yeah, she's just there in that first picture and you go, whoa.
And then I was
looking for a unicorn.
Right. And so then they'll, have information about the two of them in the whole thing. And I was just like, okay, I swipe left because I'm not interested. But, I see it a lot. I think there's also on some websites, they also have the option for couples to be there too. So I would research different dating apps. And I'm sure like if you wanted to double down on that, him also, like he could have one you only want to, yeah, he could have one, but it might be better like if you had one. So then like you can say you're looking for somebody to join your twosome to make a threesome.
It doesn't even necessarily, like, from what you've said, it does seem like you would be having more interactions with a woman. So he could also just be there.
Is he going to be eating her out? I don't know.
Yeah. So I think that, like, and I will start off by saying I've never had a threesome. That is not something that interests me with another woman whatsoever, Like,
yeah, I'm not interested in another woman. Another man.
Well, that's different.
Perhaps.
So,
yeah.
But the thing is that, like, whereas I totally understand you being like this, I want this to be something fun for me and my husband to like try or whatever. I think it gets really dicey when that's like the lead of it, when there's another person involved, because then that just becomes like, that person's not a fleshlight. They're not just like, they're a whole other person there for that. So it can't just be about you and your husband. There will be another person there who they'll have needs, they'll have boundaries, they'll have things they want to be met. And it's like not just like to get you kinky. Like it's not just something to be like, oh, look at this hot thing me and my husband did. So I think in that sense, like you actually might just be interested in like watching porn while you're hooking up. You might be interested in like even just talking about it. Like to talk about Modern Family again, Claire and Phil coming up with their little like pseudonyms and they like meet in a bar or whatever. So I think like I would write down all of your stipulations. And like if one of the stipulations are like, I don't want him touching her, I don't really want anyone, then that like you might like the idea of a threesome more. And yeah, you just want to make sure that it's coming at it from a place of everyone's an equal footing there. It's not that this person is there to do something hot for you and your husband. So that's like a difference. Or then you could be looking for, I don't know, some cuckold situation or whatever it is that you could then break it down into what you might be more interested in. But I'm slightly surprised you've never talked about this in hypotheticals with him. You've been together forever to the point of being like, I guess maybe it is because you've been together for so long. I was going to say they've been
together for so long and we're so young when they got together.
Yeah,
too.
So it's not like you would ever say, have you ever had one or have you ever, whatever. Because like, does he watch Modern Family? Like if he doesn't and you just watch it, maybe you watch the episode and be like, oh my God, like, have you ever thought about that? And like ask in that way. But I think you need to pose it as like in general, I don't think it's always great to pose something as like, this is what I want to do if you haven't done it before, because you might not actually end up wanting to do it. As like, let's have a discussion, like see if we want to do it. Not, I've been thinking about this for X amount of time and I really want to do it. Because I don't know if you've seen on Reddit, it's a common thread of being like, someone wants to open up the relationship or someone wants to do a threesome. The other one kind of like, whatever, sure, I'll do it. That person ends up enjoying it a lot more than the other one. The other person ends up being like, I don't like this at all. So I think going into it, making sure he knows he can be honest with it. And then you should also be honest and not just wait for his response. But I would sit on it for a while before you actually pursue it, because it's not always just going to be like TV shows. And sometimes you see things and like it's hot because Claire and Phil don't actually have a threesome. Like that doesn't happen. So like the imagination part of it, that's like very erotic. You can like think about these things and like, oh, that's so hot. And then, it leads to that point. But I don't necessarily think that always things you might be aroused by in theory aren't the ones you might necessarily be aroused by in the practicality, because there's a lot of other factors going in. So yeah, and don't be that couple who posts with the caption. You can have a couple on Tinder, but do not do the caption looking for our unicorn. Don't do that one. Don't do that one. But yeah, and also even if there's not penetrative sex there, you got to be wary about like STDs, STIs, and also getting pregnant. Like that's, even if it's not penetrative, like their juices are flowing.
Juices
So
could be transferred in numerous ways.
yeah, there's always a risk. So you've got to calculate that risk for you and what you're comfortable with. But you've been together for so long. I cannot imagine he would be like, I don't even know you. Cause like, you're not vanilla. So like, yeah, I'd be shocked if people by the time you're in your 30s have never thought about it. Best of luck.
Let us know how it goes.
Get freaky with it. I can't believe that Phil and Claire, look at that. They're like influencing.
I feel like Phil and Claire, once they finally get everybody out their house, they're definitely bringing everybody.
Oh my God.
Yeah. They're definitely having some friends over. Those are two kinky motherfuckers.
Those with the upside down pint. I'm sure they got an upside down pint. They go on a cruise.
Yeah, they go on a cruise.
To be fair, I do think Phil would panic.
Yeah. But I think that Claire would talk him through it.
Exactly. It's just their relationship dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
We are Modern Family fans over here. So that's it for this episode. We hope you all enjoyed, and submit your calls, your write-ins for an upcoming episode to the phone number as well as the email address we said at the beginning. And it will also, as always, be in the show notes, and it's on our website, and you will get used to the
new sketch.
The new sketch. So tomorrow, our Fisting Friday episode, it's a chit chat, catching up, having fun. And then on Monday, you will get a new episode of But Am I Wrong? And Tuesday, a new episode of See You Next Tuesday, where we read the results from last week's episode of But Am I Wrong? Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Don't Blame Me is a production by me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa D. Montz, plus Diamond Imprint Productions.
Post-production sound and editing by Coco Lorenz.
Production assistance by Melanie D. Watson.
And music by Giacomo Picasso and Ryan Hunter.
Welcome to the small town of Chinook, where faith runs deep and secrets run deeper. In this new thriller, religion and crime collide when a gruesome murder rocks the isolated Montana community. Everyone is quick to point their fingers at a drug-addicted teenager, but local deputy Ruth Vogel isn't convinced. She suspects connections to a powerful religious group. Enter federal agent V.B. Lauro, who has been investigating a local church for possible criminal activity. The pair form an unlikely partnership to catch the killer, unearthing secrets that leave Ruth torn between her duty to the law, her religious convictions, and her very own family. But something more sinister than murder is afoot, and someone is watching Ruth.
Chinook, starring Kelly Marie Tran and Sanaa Lathan. Listen to Chinook wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone, so we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural Then and Now.
Bitches on Comics is a bi-monthly interview podcast where we talk to the coolest LGBTQ plus folks and women in comics and pop culture.
Our unique perspectives and welcoming nature have earned us the honor of being named a best comic book podcast by Book Riot, Screen Rant, The Mary Sue, Comic Book Herald, and Comic Book Couples Counseling.
Bitches on Comics is hosted by moi, Monica Estrella Negra, filmmaker, writer, and co-founder of Audrey's Revenge Film.
And me, Essie Fleenor, comic and pop culture nerd and culture critic with writing in The Independent, Vice, Electric Literature, Star Trek, and so much more.
We're also both voting members of Gallica, the Society of LGBTQ plus entertainment critics.
Join Bitches on Comics for in-depth, hilarious, and heartfelt conversations with the likes of Stephanie Williams, Leah Anderson, and the late, great Rachel Pollack.
Listen to Bitches on Comics on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Or tune in at bitchesoncomics.com. New episodes every other Wednesday.